Hey everyone, and welcome to the channel. So for today's head-to-head comparison, we have the 2023 GMC Canyon AT4X and the latest generation for the Toyota Tacoma TRD PRO. Both of these are mid-sized trucks, of course. They're top trim level and vehicles that are focused for off-roading. So we are going to see the similarities and differences between both of these off-roaders, and let me know down in the comments which one you would pick. So let's start off with the GMC Canyon. These have a starting MSRP right around 56 grand, and powering this is the 2.7 liter high output 4-cylinder turbo. It's only paired to the 8-speed automatic transmission, pumping out 310 horsepower, 430 pound-feet of torque. For the Tacoma, starting MSRP is right around 48 grand, so a little bit less. This has the 3.5 liter V6 paired to either the 6-speed auto or the 6-speed manual transmission, 278 horsepower and 265 pound-feet of torque. So right off the bat, two different engines. We have a smaller engine with a lot more power. Now for the 24-year model for the Tacoma, it is ditching that 3.5 liter V6. So we can have a 23 versus a 24. 24 MSRP is going to be a lot more. So for both of these 2023s, those are the engine options that you get. Now, both of these are rear-wheel drive with the 4-wheel drive system. We have a curb weight of 4,800 pounds, curb weight of 4,500 pounds. So a little bit lighter for the Tacoma. 0 to 60, 6.5 seconds, closer to 7. So the smaller engine is a little bit quicker. And then let's talk about all of the off-road specs, since that's what these trucks are capable of doing. For the GMC Canyon, this has ground clearance of 10.7 inches, an approach angle of 36.9, breakover of 24.5, and a departure of 25 degrees. Over on the Tacoma, ground clearance is a little bit less at 9.7. Approach angle is 36.4, very similar. Departure angle is 26.5, so a little bit better, and then 24.7 for that departure angle. So honestly, these are very, very close. However, when you look at them from here, that truck looks a lot taller. So it's impressive that the Tacoma has some similar specs. But let's work our way to the exterior styling now. The Tacoma has had a very similar look for several years. We have the Toyota badge along with a sensor underneath that, plenty of cutouts, LED headlights. There's even the Rigid Industries fog lights, which is part of that TRD Pro package, skid plate underneath. We have the bumper valance that is plastic there. And then for the GMC, you can tell that it's pretty updated compared to the Tacoma. We have a dealer installed bull bar with the light bar, a winch, skid plates, LED lights, some more aggressive lines for that hood versus the TRD hood scoop for the Tacoma. Honestly, I do like the look of both of them, a little bit more beefy, especially since you can see that front tire for the Canyon. This also has a set of 33-inch tires. So these are bigger than the Tacoma TRD Pro. Maybe the 24-year model will have a larger setup for the wheels and tires, but you can tell from this angle, we have a little bit more wheel well clearance, and you're going to have some more travel with that Multimatic suspension versus the TRD tuned Bilstein suspension for the Tacoma. Now this has body colored mirrors with the turn signal, no camera underneath. You get a camera system, 3D system for the Canyon there. The Canyon is going to be a little bit more luxury focused versus its brother, the Chevrolet Colorado, which would be a little bit better of a comparison, but this is what we have to work with for today. Now for the Tacoma, you get the quad cab with the short bed for the Pro. You get the quad cab short bed for the AT4X. And we'll take another look at that rear suspension. Very good for both on-road and off-road performance. Now, as we work our way to the rears, we have all the badging, LED taillights. This can tow right around 6,400 pounds, and it even gets the full-size spare tire located underneath. And then over on the Tacoma, you will notice that we have all the badging, backup camera, body-colored end caps. Towing is going to be about the same. We don't have LED taillights, though, for this model. Now, the cover here is aftermarket, of course, but we have the soft opening tailgate and then a good bit of space. Now, if you're new to the channel, I used to own a Tacoma. I had the TRD off-road with the 5-foot bed. I didn't have any complaints utilizing the shorter bed. Now, over on the Canyon, you get a little bit more heavy duty. Instead of plastic, you have the bed liner. You also get a compartment in the tailgate. So this is really cool to see. Maybe the 24 Tacoma will have something similar to that. We have a dealer installed rack here, 3-prong outlet just like the Tacoma had, and several tie-down hooks. So as far as the practicality goes for both of these mid-sized trucks, honestly, they are very, very similar. So let's work our way to the interior now. The Canyon is going to be a little bit nicer being the GMC model. So we have 2-tone, really nice trim accents, 3-tone design for these seats. Now I'll have a full review for this truck down in the description. So if you want to see everything, all of the details, be sure to check out that separate video. I also have plenty of Toyota Tacoma content and reviews. Really nice steering wheel, controls on the back side. For this digital gauge cluster, you have a few different settings that you can go through just to show all of this various information. So it's really nice that you have that. We have the trailer braking system. What I really want to show, like I said, check out the full review if you want to see everything, but we have a few off-roading pages that you can go to. But my favorite part about this truck is the fact that we have a 360 camera system. And not only that, there's angles underneath the truck. So when you're off-roading, check this out. You pretty much have your spotter right here in the screen. That is amazing to see. I really think every off-road focused truck should have that ability because that's awesome. We have rear lockers, front and rear lockers, several different off-roading settings that you can go through, as well as on-road too, towing. So you can go through all of those as needed. We also have creature comforts like heated and ventilated seats, wireless charging. You have storage pockets everywhere. We have the sunroof too. It's a nice place to be for the driver's seat. And I forgot to mention earlier, even comes with the steel rock sliders to give you that added protection. So as we work our way to the TRD Pro, like I mentioned, I owned my TRD off-road for about 6 years. Absolutely love that truck. Sold it for the 4th gen that is coming very soon. For this model, we have the leather seats, and as we fire this up, it is a little bit more old school. If you're not looking for that amount of technology, that is why a lot of people buy the Toyota, because they don't want some of those fancy bells and whistles. You don't have quite as much information to go through in the center gauge cluster there, but you can scroll through a little bit of it here. You have just some vitals that you can go through, your music, some standard things like that. But you can also pull up your pitch and roll. So unlike the larger screen over there, it's pretty much very simple, but it gives you that information. And the screen in the middle doesn't have quite as much technology, but it's nice. Again, very simple, usable. We have heated seats. Everything's laid out well. The TRD Pro though has crawl control. So you have your multi-terrain select as well as your crawl speed and the dial in the middle to further go through all of those different settings. This is basically cruise control for off-road in this truck, and you do have the locking rear differential. No front locker, but with the crawl control, essentially you do have that front locker. It's just built in with the different modes that you are in. Very nice system to have. Check out those videos. I've made those on my own truck with crawl control. So we have wireless charging. We have the electronically controlled transmission for the power button there. We have some sensors. Like I said, it's very similar, just not as much tech. So it's not as tech focused as over on the GMC. But let's work our way to the back seats now. So the owner of this truck does have a car seat in the back. I've seen a ton of comments with mid-sized trucks and not being able to do that. We clearly have one right here, so it is doable. It's a little bit tight, I will say, at 5'10", but it's nice. We have the electronically controlled sliding rear glass, and the Tacoma also has 2 different storage pockets. You get a little bit underneath, you also get a little bit behind the seat, and you can remove the headrest and fold the seat flat. So now you have this hard backing to slide in any items that you'd like to, as well as having 4 pockets for all of your storage. I think that is very helpful, especially for the size, because over on the Canyon, we have something similar, but you only get storage underneath. So this is it. You don't have any storage behind the seats. The seats don't fold down like they do in the Tacoma. So putting in items isn't going to be as easy as on the Tacoma. So a little bit more of an advantage over there. But I will say, we have a little bit more space in the back. So it's going to be a little bit more practical for adults. We have a manual sliding rear glass though. For that MSRP, that should be an electronic window. We also get the armrest with cup holders. So a little bit more amenities in the back, even climate vents, which the Tacoma is lacking. So there's a quick rundown for the exteriors and interiors on both of these off-road focused pickup trucks. Now let's go ahead and get both of these out on the road real quick. We won't be taking them off-road. I have plenty of Tacoma off-road videos. I do have some Colorado off-roading videos that you guys can check out. But let's drive these on the road and see what they're like. So we'll start off with the Toyota Tacoma. Now again, if you're not familiar with our channel, I just sold my 3rd gen TRD off-road about 3 or 4 months ago, and I sold it to get the 2024 Toyota Tacoma because that is going to be completely different. If you're not familiar with the Tacoma in general, it's been like this for several years. The 3rd gen came out in 2016. So we've had this technology for several years with some minor updates here and there, but the Tacoma is kind of a dinosaur. It is old school, but it's very nice at the same time. I'm not trying to be biased since I owned one, but obviously I bought one because I really like them and I like what they do have to offer. It's a very simple interior though, very straightforward, easy to use. Nothing's overcomplicated with it. So if you just want to get in your truck, you know, you're using this for maybe work purposes or something, and you just don't need some of those fancy bells and whistles, it's a really good option to go with. And a lot of people do like the 3.5 liter V6. While it's not the fastest truck, it's a reliable engine. These trucks can rack up the miles. I know 3rd gen owners that have put well over 200,000 miles on their 3rd gen Tacomas. It's a very reliable engine, and it's just something that's been strong from Toyota for a long time. But out on the road, super comfortable with this TRD tuned suspension. I don't have any complaints with it. Overall, it drives very nice. Visibility is also very easy to see. Seats are super comfortable too. I know there are some complaints with the seat position being any taller than 5'10" like I am, but I have a few inches above my head, and it's a solid truck. Sounds really good too with that V6, and this is just something that's incredibly reliable. You can own this for a long time. We have over 43,000 miles on this particular model right now, and that's just breaking it in. So this is something that if you want reliability, you want longevity, you go with the Toyota. And now jumping into the GMC Canyon, right off the bat, you can tell that this is light years ahead of the Tacoma in terms of technology and just the styling and look that this truck has to offer. Now, one could argue that not in just this truck, but a lot of newer vehicles with a lot more technology is just one more thing that could potentially break. And I would agree with you. That's why a lot of people do like the Tacoma. Having that old school yet modern look gives you less tech that's potentially going to go wrong. But at the same time too, this is what a lot of vehicles are going towards. It's giving you a lot more options to go through, and just it does give it more of an updated look and features too that you can go through, like Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, something that is not on the Tacoma. And another thing with this truck is now we have that 4-cylinder turbo, which the 24 Tacoma will have. We have a lot more torque, a lot more get up and go. It just doesn't have that same V6 sound. But we have a smaller engine, not as good on the MPG as I was assuming for a smaller engine. It's roughly the same, so not too much more efficient in those aspects, but you get a lot more power, something that the Tacoma is definitely lacking. Compared to the mid-sized trucks, it was kind of in last place as far as power goes. But with the suspension, it is so comfortable. It's very quiet and enjoyable to drive, just like the Tacoma. A little bit softer, I think, with this, the way that this suspension is set up. We also have a little bit more space in the back though for your backseat passengers, so it's not quite as crammed, and we have a lot more off-roading technology and features. But we also have a higher price point for this truck as well. But on road, it drives very nice. I could definitely see buying this truck if you want all of this tech, all those features, versus the old school Tacoma. So there we have it, taking a look at the 2023 GMC Canyon AT4X and the Toyota Tacoma TRD Pro. Honestly, I'm a pretty big fan of both of these now that I've had a lot more seat time behind the wheel of the GMC version. The Toyota Tacoma is still one of my favorite trucks. I can't wait for the 2024 year model to come out sometime next year. I think it's a great truck. but this is also a really good truck too. It's just a little bit pricey, about 15K more than the Tacoma. You can do a lot with 15K in mods to make this a GMC Canyon killer. So it really just depends on your budget, what you're looking to get out of your truck. If you're daily driving it a lot, you want some of those extra amenities, or you want something a little bit more old school that you can drive for several more years versus the GMC. That's going to wrap it up though for today's head-to-head comparison. Comment down below which truck would you take and why. Give it a huge thumbs up, smash that subscribe button. I will see you guys in the next video.